Hi friends, I'm Abby and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking through some of my 2024 priorities. So some of the aims and ambitions that I have for myself for this year, as well as some of the books that I would like to read this year. I know that this video is late. I know that it is the middle of February. Some of these things, I've put some books on here that I have already read because I am already a month into the year, and I was just trying to make this achievable. I think I was feeling, as you might have seen in my February TBR, that I was a bit like, oh, I don't know what to read. I don't feel like I have that much direction. So I was hoping that if I make this video and give myself some like ambitions for the year, it might help me be able to sort of tailor my reading each month, because I know roughly where I want to get to by the end of the year. Just giving myself some like wider goals, wider ambitions. I have some like general things to talk about, and then I'll get into some of the book ideas of things that I would like to prioritize. With the overall ambition, and the top thing that I wrote down was continue with positive reading energy. So that's the main thing, positive reading energy, picking up books that I am enjoying, that I like to read, that I'm going with my mood. I feel as though I do get like, not bogged down in, because that makes it sound a bit negative, but like as a series reader, I do always feel this like need to finish series, and then I feel as though I'm constantly creating a TBR for myself, which as a mood reader can feel detrimental to my actual enjoyment, because I'm like, oh, I need to finish that series, but actually I really want to be reading this instead. So I need to just work on like following the mood and not worrying too much about starting too many series. But I know that I will worry about that. But you know, positive reading energy, picking up things that I think I'm going to enjoy, that I'm going to give 5 stars. I feel as though I did quite well at that in 2023, that I had a really positive reading year. I had read so many good books I really enjoyed, series that I really enjoyed, and so I would like to continue that in 2024. Started off with the same energy in January, so both Januaries I started off the year with a 5 stars, so I've managed to like continue that momentum. So hopefully just continue with that positivity. I would like to continue to read down my physical TBR. I made a good little dent in it in 2023. I definitely made progress, but I think there's more progress to be I think there is more progress that I can make. That my aim for last year was to get it down to 50 books. I didn't quite make it. I was on like 64. Which was still like 30 odd less than it was the year before. So I have gone in the right direction. But again, I would like to get it under 50 books, which isn't going so well right now, because I have just been buying books. I have just been buying them. I've been doing the wrong thing. I've been buying the books. Look out for a haul maybe next week. But yeah, I would ideally like to get the TBR down to 50. I am running out of space. I'm really running out of space. I've been running out of space for a long time, and I'm constantly unhauling and constantly having a good like turnover of books, but there is so little space. I need to like keep the TBR to one shelf and one shelf only. A double stacked one shelf, that's okay. But right now I have an overflow onto another shelf, which used to all be TBR, and now I'm converting it into a red shelf. It's just taking a bit of time. So get that physical TBR down. 50 books and on one shelf. Something that I have been doing, and I feel like I've been doing quite well at, is finishing series. So just continue that energy, continue with working through my series, reading them. I would like to be better at starting completed series and reading the whole series through, and just like reading one book a month and just finishing that series, or reading it quite regularly and then series finished and done. I feel as though I have been starting incomplete series, or series that are soon to be complete, and then still needing to wait for the final book. And I have so many first books in series on my TBR, and series that are complete as well, so I just need to prioritize some of them. I think last year I read 2 series through from like beginning to end, and I really enjoyed doing that, like 1 a month. I don't know, I read like the Prison Healer series and just read 1, 2, 3, and I enjoyed that, and I feel like I need to do that more, where I just get a completed series and I read it, and I don't like wait too long between releases. So I would like to do more of that. In terms of my videos and video creation, I have started doing a few sort of jigsaw puzzle videos. I know it's a bit out of the norm. I'm traditionally bookish content, but I do love jigsaw puzzles. I've talked about it quite a bit. Since the start of my channel, I've been mentioning jigsaw puzzles every so often. So I think I would like to do more of that content and get used to having that content be a little bit more regular. So currently I just have like a puzzle collection video that I have of what I currently own. That video is actually, I filmed it like a year ago. It took a long time to edit it. It just sat unedited for ages whilst I was like, do I want to go down like the puzzle like video content stuff until eventually I did edit it and put it up. And then I have very recently done a sort of montage of puzzling, which is now up, of me attempting to speed puzzle for the first time. So I would like to do, I think, some more of those types of videos. I don't think they're the most popular. I think I have grown a bookish audience who aren't necessarily interested in puzzles, but I would like to try and I find them enjoyable. I find it quite fun to edit. It's something that I haven't got used to yet, is like filming myself puzzling and being like filming for like an hour or whatever of me puzzling. So I don't know, I just like to experiment more with that genre of video making, and also stick with my once a week schedule. I feel like that is manageable for my life. I know that I used to do like 2 videos, sometimes more, but I feel as though that is just not sustainable for me. Once a week, that I can manage, that I can do with my life, just about. It's sometimes a little bit of a struggle, but yes, once a week, stick with that schedule. So those are sort of some priorities and goals that I have for the year, or for the next 11 months, because that's all we have left now. So now getting into some of my bookish goals. So I have split this up into sections. I have firstly an ad hoc section of bit bigger goals, which contains 2 books. I then have series finishers, which is a big thing for me. I am a major fantasy series reader. It comes with the territory. So I do have quite a few series that I would like to wrap up this year. And then I also have some ones that I want to start, which meet with my goal of reading completed series. My larger goals, the first one it is a series, but I don't have the ambition to finish it this year, I don't think. I mean, I know that it's sort of finishing this year, but it might be a bit beyond me. I would like to read Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson, the 4th book in the Stormlight Archive. So I've been reading this series very slowly for quite a few years now. I do have videos up of me reading this series, vlog style, with full spoilers, theories, everything. I do have content on this series. I read the 3rd book at the very back end of 2022 into 2023, and then I haven't got to Rhythm of War yet. I find these books are they're very long. They're very, very long. They take me like a whole month to read. I want to make sure that I'm reading them when I'm in the right headspace for them, when I'm not traveling so much for work. So it's scheduling a right time to fit these in. I know that it's just going to take me forever to read this, but I would like to get to this. I think April. I think I'm putting this in April. In my right now, I'm thinking April. Don't hold me to that right now, but I'm thinking like April, maybe April into May. That time of year is when I'm going to read this. It feels like it needs its own goal in itself to read this book, because of how much of a commitment it is. I think I might get like the individual paperbacks out of the library and then read them, because they might be less daunting than reading this giant thing. Because I think that was the thing with Oathbringer, it just felt like I was reading this never-ending book. And this is going to be the same, because it's like, what, 1,200 pages it's going to be. I'm going to be reading this for a lifetime. And it's not like 1,200 pages of, like, they're very full pages, like they fit a lot on a page. And I will do a vlog. I will vlog it again, but it's just going to take a while. So I would like to get to this. I'm not promising that I'm going to read Wind and Truth this year, because that comes out in December, and you know, December's a busy time for me. I don't know if that's going to be read straight away, but I do definitely want to read Rhythm of War. The other, by itself, sort of book ambition aim is to read a French book. So I'm going to put in L'Enigme de la Chambre 622, The Enigma of Room 622. I read Joel Dicker's other book last year, The Truth About the Harry Kubert Affair. I now have this one to read. I think they're quite engaging mysteries, twisty-turny mysteries, but you think you know what's happening, and then you're like, oh no, I got it wrong again. I would like to read this. I speak French at work, and I would like to continue to improve my French, and one of the easiest ways to do that is to read it. I definitely am, I think, improving because I'm using it a lot more at work now, but continue to work on my French and read this book. So moving on to series finishers. I have quite a few series that are finishing this year, or that I can finish this year. I think actually most of these is because the final book is coming out this year, so then I can finish it and wrap these series up. Okay, so I have 10 series on this list that I am going to finish this year. I am. There is no subjunctive in there. There's no possibility. It is a positive indicative. It's happening. So 2 of them I've already finished. So 2 out of 10 done, finished, ticked off. The first of these being Skyward. So this book came out at the end of 2023. I have now read it at the start of 2024. So finishing off the Skyward series by Brandon Sanderson. The other one that I have finished off, although I feel as though there's definitely going to be more in this world, is the Crescent City series. So reading House of Flame and Shadow, the third book in this by Sarah J. Maas. I feel like there's going to be more in this world, in this series. I feel as though there's lots of open-ended questions at the end of this, but I do think for right now, it is wrapped up. Next, I am going to be finishing the Empire of the Wolf trilogy by Richard Swan. This is the third book, The Trials of Empire, which has very recently come out in February. I started this morning, so I am page 22. Not very far in at all, but I would like to read this, get this finished and all wrapped up, and that will be another series that I have finished. I do have a review of the first book, which I liked, didn't love, but I loved the second one. So I have high hopes that I'm going to really enjoy this one. I feel like I've only seen really good reviews for this one. Okay, one that I should have read last year, but I didn't. So re-putting it on here is finishing off the 5 Warrior Angels series, so The Lonesome Crown by Brian Lee Durfee. I planned to do my reread and finish this series last year. It didn't happen. Well, I started it. I did my reread of The Forgetting Moon, and that was in July of last year, and then I didn't do my reread of The Blackest Heart, and I still didn't get to The Lonesome Crown. And it's not because I didn't enjoy it. I gave that reread a 4.5 star. I really enjoyed it. It's just they're a big commitment. They're a big commitment, and my epic fantasy mood was missing, I'd say, in 2023. That I don't know where it was, but it wasn't the mood. So I wasn't really in this grim, epic, darker toned books for much of 2023, which is probably why I didn't get to Rhythm of War either, that I just couldn't face such a long book. That I did read some, but it felt like the mood wasn't so much there. But I'm hoping that the mood is here in 2024. So I do need to get to The Blackest Heart, reread that, and then I can read this and finish off this series. Hopefully get to this within a good time. I feel as though it's been sitting around for far too long now, and it needs to be read. Back on some series that are finishing this year, I would like to continue get to the Atlas 6 series. So I read the Atlas 6 a couple of years ago. Now I would like to reread it. I read the self-pub edition, so I'd like to read the core published one, and then I can get to the Atlas Paradox, which is the second book, and then the Atlas Complex, which is the third one. I have seen reviews for the third one are quite low, and it makes me a little bit nervous. It makes me quite nervous. I'm a bit concerned. I'm a bit concerned because I did not realise how low the rating on Goodreads was for the third book. I was like, oh. So I am trying to keep an open mind, and I will reread the first one, and I'll see how I feel about the second one because I don't know, and then hopefully get to the third one, and we'll just see how it goes. We'll see how it goes, and if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't, and I won't hopefully get too swayed by other people. Otherwise, I started the Final Strife series by Zara El Arifi. I think it's the Burning Fire series. So I read the first book last year. I need to get to the Battle Drum, which is the sequel, and then the third book comes out, I think, in the summer, and then I can wrap this series up as well. I really loved the first book. I had so much fun reading that one. It's such an interesting politics and world, and so I'm really hoping that this second book continues to stick the landing, or not quite the landing, stick the rest of the continued jump with the third book sticking the landing. I feel as though I've heard really good things about the sequel, so I'm very excited to get into it. Another series that I think is ending this year is the Jasmine Throne, or the Burning Kingdoms series. So I read the first book, The Jasmine Throne, last year when I thought that the series was finishing in 2023. Turns out I was wrong. I think it's finishing at the end of 2024. I then have delayed reading The Oleander Sword, which I picked up recently. And I feel as though I remember enough about The Jasmine Throne to just go into this, although I did read it beginning of 2023, so I guess we can just see how it goes. I have really enjoyed Tasha's series' other books, the Empire of Sand duology, so I really enjoyed that one. I feel as though these are quite complex, intricate worlds with an interesting magic system and quite morally grey characters in the main, but I'm definitely interested to see where this one goes, and then finishing off that series when the final book comes out. Another series is the Guild series by Raven Kennedy. So I've read the first 4 books in this series. A 5th book came out in December, and the 6th and final book comes out in the summer. I am waiting for the paperback of the 5th book to come out because I have all the rest of them in paperback. And then I'm hoping, I don't know when the 6 books paperback release is going to come out. I'm hoping it'll be by the end of the year and then I can finish it off. The problems of having to delay and wait for paperbacks, or I don't think my library has any of these books. So I don't think I can like read it and then get the paperback later myself. I will endeavour to wrap up as well. Sticking with the fantasy romance, Fate of Wrath and Flame series is finishing this year by K.A. Tucker. I have read the first 2 books in this series, and this is the 3rd one, A Queen of Thieves and Chaos, which I need to get to. So I'm hopefully going to enjoy this one, fingers crossed. And then the 4th and final book comes out, I can't remember when. Summer, maybe? In the summer, I would guess. And then that would wrap this series up as well. And then this is the hope. I did see a October-November date on Goodreads, so I have hope that this will come out in 2024. And that is the 3rd book in the Shadow of the Gods series by John Gwynne, or the Blood Swan series. So if this book comes out, I will definitely do a reread. I feel like I remember most of it, but I think I'm going to do a reread. I mean, I know he did put like a previously as seen in the book in the 2nd one, but I think I'd reread and then read that 3rd book because I love John Gwynne's books. I actually haven't talked about John Gwynne in a while because I haven't read one of his books in a while, so I haven't had an excuse to talk about his books. But I love John Gwynne's books. So I've read all of The Faithful and the Fallen, all of the Of Blood and Bone series. I've read all of this series to date, and it's been a while. It's been a while, understandably, because I know he had some personal situations which has delayed the 3rd book in this series coming out, which completely understandable. But I am so excited to have another John Gwynne, and so I really hope it comes out for my own personal love of his books. Yeah, I think I'll reread and then need this because it will like reawaken an obsession, and then I'll be like, oh no, do I want to reread The Faithful and the Fallen? I actually haven't reread it. I've only read it once, so it wouldn't be like that much of a shame if I did have to reread it. It'd just be a shame for my physical TBR. So those are all of the series, the 10 series that I definitely hope to finish this year. I have already started them. I already have them ongoing. Some of them I just have 1 book to go. Some of them I'm just like waiting for a book to come out. A couple of them I have actually already finished. But that would get 10 books off of my ongoing series list, which, you know, is always the aim. Obviously, this doesn't take into account that there might be ones that I continue on that are also still on that list. Like there are definitely other ones on the list. This was just a top 10 of ones that I know I can finish because they're going to be finished. I then have a little pile of books that I've taken off of my TBR for starts of series, for new series to start, because I would like to read some series through this year. So I get the 1st book, I read it, and then I have to go out probably and buy the 2nd and 3rd book, but then I read the series through. Plenty of other series starters on my TBR. There are ones that are finished and the series are all done, and there are ones that are just 1st books in series. Like I know that there are plenty of other options on there, and there are ones that are calling to me, but I'm like, you are the 1st book in an incomplete series. Don't call too hard. Like don't try and summon me. Don't summon me too hard. Like The Will of the Many is definitely trying really hard to summon me and saying read me, and I'm like, but no, I want to delay until there's more books in your series that is out. Let me prioritise some of these series that are already out, that were finished years ago and that are languishing because they don't get all the new book hype buzz. Anyway, so I picked up a few here and we'll just go from there. So one that I have started that I would now like to continue in reading the series is the Veronica Speedwell series. So I'd had this for a few years. This is a much larger series, so there are 8 books out, but I enjoyed this first one, so I would like to continue in it. I don't know how many of these books I will read in this year, but I have bought books 2 and 3 and are awaiting their arrival. Hopefully by the time you see this, they might have arrived, but I would like to continue on in this series, and it's a little bit different to what I normally read. It's not fantasy, it's like a historical mystery with some, I'm thinking, romantic elements at some point in it, but not right now. Well, romantic leaning elements. Yeah, I would like to continue on in this. Trilogy that I would like to read is the Fireborn trilogy by Rosaria Munda. So this one I have started, but then I got distracted by Crescent City 3 arriving, so I had to put this one down, and I haven't quite gone back to it yet because then I got distracted by the Trials of Empire, the 3rd book in the Empire of the Wolf series arriving, which I really wanted to read, so this one has sort of been put down. But I would like to get back to this. If I enjoy this, then continue on with the series. I'm feeling a little bit mixed about it right now at the page 150 mark, so we'll see how I feel as I get into the rest of it. Look for it in my February wrap up. A series that I actually already own the whole lot of, and which is why I figure it could be a priority one, is The Winter King, the first book in the Warlord Chronicles. So I got a box set of the first three, well, of this trilogy, and with my aim to read down my physical TBR, I felt it makes sense to pick a series where I actually already own the 3 books, and then I'm reading 3 whole books off my TBR instead of having to go out and continue the sequels to these books, which is the issue that I have with all the rest of them. But anyway, this is a sort of King Arthur historical retelling, so I've heard very good things about it. It's good to be prioritised. It's just the font is absolutely tiny, absolutely tiny. To counteract some of the longer books here, I thought I would put a duology on this series. So a YA duology that I have had for ages is Raybearer by Jordan Ifweko. The good duologies are good because then I only need to go out and buy the sequel if I like it, and then it's done. So that was my aim here. This one is YA. I think this one is going to be really easy to read, unlike The Winter King, which has absolutely tiny font. The font in this is large, so I feel as though I could like fly through this one. I don't read so much YA now. I read a lot more adult books, so I do quite enjoy mixing some YA in and sort of being able to race through a book or have that compulsively readable element that YA generally has. And I feel like it's probably better for me to get the YA books off my shelves sooner rather than later, if I am gradually aging or moving away more and more from it, instead of keeping them and then realizing years down the line that I actually probably would have enjoyed those books a few years ago, and now it's a shame that I've got them and I don't love them. And then one that I wanted to read last year but didn't get to it, another mass market paperback, is Dreamer's Pool by Juliet Marillier, the first book in the Blackthorn and Grimm series. So I read The Daughter of the Forest and the first 3 books in that series in 2022. Absolutely love them. Absolutely love them. So like her writing style, love it. I know that there is like more in that series, but they aren't in these editions yet. I don't know if they're ever going to release them in these editions. These editions, like the first 1 and 2 were really easy to get in the UK. The second one, such a challenge. Thankfully, one of my friends brought it over from the US when she was visiting, so I was able to get it for my birthday from her. But I do wonder if they're ever going to release 4, 5 and 6 in these editions, or if they're just going to do them in these mass market paperback style things, which is annoying. This is a whole completed trilogy that she has, so I would like to give this one a try, and I've generally heard really good things about this as well. I feel as though every year I have like my epic adult fantasy series that I read through. Like every year there is one that I read. So like whether it was like I had the Lycanes trilogy, like I had the First Law, like I had the Dandelion Dynasty, like I have my epic fantasy series that I like to target each year. And I feel as though I've been trying to decide which one I might want to target this year. This is alongside like some of the other ones that I like pick up more sporadically. But I feel as though there's one that I'd sort of like read through all the way through, all the books, which is what I did with those ones that I read the whole series in that year that I read them. So I do have quite a few options to choose from on my TBR. So this is the one that I've got for right now that I'm putting in, but potentially it could be one of the other ones. I feel as though because these books are generally quite long, and then all of the series, even if it is a trilogy, they're all made up of long books, and so it's quite a commitment. And considering I also want to read Rhythm of War, I would only put like one of these series on my TBR. I think that's what I've gone wrong with in the past, is I put too many of these on my TBR and then I just don't get to any of them. As an idea, holding up for right now, Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. This is a trilogy in Robin Hobb's Farseer world. I started and I didn't really like Assassin's Apprentice, so I read Assassin's Apprentice and I just never finished the series, but I am willing to give her another try. I feel as though this is much more for me. It's much more my vibes, so I would give her another shot with reading Ship of Magic. It's been quite a few years. I read that like Assassin's Apprentice in like 2018 or something, so it's been quite a few years since I read it. I could be completely different. My taste might have changed, but I've been very hesitant to read this because of my lukewarm feelings on Assassin's Apprentice. But here we are, Ship of Magic as my fill-in for like the epic fantasy series of the year. Those are everything that I've written down as like some sort of ideas, ambitions, aims, targets for 2024. So some series that I would like to finish, some series that I would like to start, some other like miscellaneous books like Rhythm of War and a French book, but some ideas of where I'm going to be directing my reading. Hopefully there'll be many other things that I read aside from these things. There will definitely be things that come along I'm like, oh, I really want to read that. A new release will come along, definitely. I'll be like, oh my god, that sounds amazing, everyone's talking about it, I have to read it. So there'll definitely be things that come along. Like, this is very fantasy heavy, very fantasy heavy. I haven't really mentioned any romance. I'm sure I'll just fit those in as and when I feel like reading romance. Those will just slot in. Like, there isn't really an ambition or like a target that I have for that. Let me know what some of your ambitions, aims are for 2024, even though I know we're already a month in. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my future videos. Bye.